The village of Ajau is bustling with activities. Each market square filled with people shouting and making remarks about their products such as yams, cassava, rice, vegetables, even colorful clothing. Everybody chanting for each customers to buy their products. At the edge of the market, Oluwashawun's hut sits, filled with different herbs, both dried ones and the fresh leaves, and different types of charms, all of which is not real. None of those charms works. Oluwashawun stands at the entrance of his hut, wrapped in exaggerated robes for healing, chanting and beating a drum, calling out to the villagers to come for healing at his place. His face was painted with bright colors, making him look like a warrior from the ancient times, even though none of the charms he is selling is real, and they were all bought from the neighboring towns and wide markets. His assistant, Nanayo, stands beside him, awkwardly holding a basket of dried leaves. The villagers approached the shop one after the other with various complaints, headaches, body pain, toothache, and several other sicknesses. And Oluwaseun was, of course, there to offer them with fake solutions and fake healing herbs. His most common response were the vision of the spirits, which were never anything true. Oluwaseun was specially gifted because he knew how to put those visions in ways that the villagers would buy it immediately. They would hardly doubt whatever he says. But there was a young woman named Tari. She was skeptical and always watchful of Oluwaseun's so-called powers. Tari then made it her business to expose Oluwaseun's fraudulent activities, but she knew that the villagers would defend Oluwaseun, especially Mama Bena, if she approaches them without any proof. So she decided to wait and watch until a day that Oluwaseun will make any mistake. She will catch her off guard. Tari became skeptical of Oluwaseun's so-called powers after she witnessed him buying so-called magical powers from a traveling merchant who was actually selling flowers. One evening, after watching one of Oluwaseun's activity, the fraudulent activity of course, Tari decided and cornered Nanayo. Nanayo was an apprentice to Oluwaseun. He is a very kind-hearted young man, but very naive and also very clumsy. Nanayo was terrible in keeping secrets, so Nanayo was a vulnerable one before Tari. Tari then asked Nanayo, "Tell me, Nanayo, where does Oluwaseun get his visions from?" Nanayo laughed, but of course, looking very nervous, answered in trembling voices, but from the spirits, of course. But when Tari narrowed her eyes, Nanayo, of course, couldn't look at her face because he knew he was caught already. Now, the villagers were preparing for their annual festival of light, which was a feast filled with lots of dance, laughter, and even lots of food. And Oluwaseun had a great plan to further exploit and even manipulate the villagers with his very outrageous and treacherous healing powers. He had a grand plan to further exploit the villagers. He had plans to use the festival as a means to boost his reputation. On the morning before the festival day, Oluwaseun came out to the square, the village square of course, stood on a rock and made an outrageous claim that the spirits have spoken to him about the festival, that they needed to do some rituals. Otherwise, if those rituals are not done, the village will face a lot of calamity and bad luck. Their crops will not do well and their families will suffer. The villagers became afraid. Mama Bena, one of Oluwashawun's trusted follower, clutched closely and firmly to her walking stick, trying to seek also from the other fellow villagers around her, saying, "We should support Oluwashawun on this one. Remember, he has saved us before. When the rain came late, he asked for the rain to come and they came. Let us support him this time and make this ritual so that our crops, our animals, and our families will not see bad luck." Mama Bena failed to realize that Oluwashewun's prediction came even few days before the rainy season came. So that was never a good reason to believe in Oluwashewun. The villagers, at the thought of fear of bad luck plaguing them and their families, rallied round Oluwashewun, asking him, "What can we do?" Especially Mr. Kofi, who came out boldly, full of thoughts, thinking what can be done, asked Oluwashewun, "What can we do to make this bad luck go away from our community?" Oluwashewun smiled inwardly, knowing fully well that he was about to pull off his biggest deception in the village. He then started, "We must provide rare herbs which we can not get around here only if we go into the deepest part of the forest. We must get herbs that no one, no human being has ever seen before. It will include also the feathers of an albino bird, which we must get from the forest also. The villagers will also provide the milk of a goat that only eats mango leaves." The list of absurd ingredients that was listed by Oluwashewun left the entire villagers in confusion. They were all puzzled. How are they going to get these ingredients? As Oluwashewun finishes, his apprentice, Nanayo, approached him. "Master, how do we get an albino bird? I have never seen one before." Oluwashewun waved him off, telling him it is none of your business. How we will get it is by going into the forest. We will look for it and we will capture it. The gods will guide us. Tari, who was in the crowd witnessing the whole scenario, knew that this was the opportunity she was waiting for to expose Oluwashewun for the fraud that he is. She gathered her friends, Efe and Tunde. They were both ready for a good laugh at any given time, and they started planning on how to expose Oluwashewun. The night of the festival came, and the whole village was erupted in joyous and celebration mood. The villagers were happy and were celebrating, but also weary because of the proclamations of Oluwashewun. So they were waiting for him to come up and perform the rituals that was needed to cleanse the community of every bad luck that comes with the festival. As the celebration started, Oluwashewun stood in the center of the market and village square. He was surrounded by the strange items for the sacrifice, with the villagers all looking in anticipation for what he was about to do. He raised his hand and was chanting very loud in what he claimed was the language of the spirits, while holding a basket filled with special herbs, which was actually dried leaves, which Oluwashewun picked around his hut. But it was totally gibberish that he was saying. Nanayo, who stood beside him, could hardly keep his face straight. Just as Oluwashewun was about to sprinkle the so-called magical dust into the air, Tari stepped forward with a mischievous smile. "Oluwashewun," she called out. The villagers turned and was looking at her, looking very surprised. She said to Oluwashewun, "Before you finish the sacrifice, can we all see the great albino bird you promised us that was going to be used for the sacrifice?" Caught off guard, Oluwashewun hesitated clearly. "The albino bird is a spiritual thing. You are not supposed to see it," said Oluwashewun, trying to maintain his composure. Tari chuckled. "Oh, really? But I thought I saw the albino bird flying into the chicken coops yesterday. She pulled out a feather from the village normal chickens. Then the crowd gasped and burst into laughter. They had realized that the feathers were from a regular normal bird and not from the magical albino bird that Oluwashawun was claiming about. Nanayo, Oluwashawun's apprentice, realizing they have been caught, dropped the basket of herbs in a panic and was pointing to Oluwashawun. He started it. He is the one. The villagers laughed even harder, and Mama Bena chuckled and shook her head, not fully convinced that Oluwashawun is a fake. Chief Kofi then stepped forward. Oluwashawun, it seems the spirits are not with you tonight. Oluwashawun, concerned and embarrassed, tried one last trick. See, let me tell you, the spirits, the spirits are testing you. It is all a test from the spirits. It was all a joke. The spirits were only joking with you. He quickly switched gears, realizing that he had nowhere else to go. He was already caught. The villagers, who were already in a high spirit for the festival occasion, couldn't help but laugh. They decided to go along with his explanation. The villagers couldn't help but think Oluwaseun might not have been the village healer, but he had certainly provided a lot of entertainment for this celebration. So from that day onward, the villagers didn't see Oluwaseun anymore as their healer, but an entertainer for the entire community. His exaggerated performance, his ridiculous and outrageous rituals, and the comical aspect of his entertainment became part of the festival activity. Even Tari, who was the one that exposed Oluwaseun's fraudulent activity, couldn't help but laugh at the ridiculous and outrageous ways and rituals he has demanded for. Nanayo, still clumsy, is now an apprentice to Oluwaseun in comedy and not in deception and fraudulent activities this time. The villagers danced and enjoyed themselves, and Oluwaseun's latest act of seeing vision of chickens dancing in the sky became the highlight of the entire occasion. The moral of the story is that deception may not last forever, but laughter certainly will last for a lifetime. It is better to laugh than to cry.